We're going to do Warrior 3 and Half Moon Pose today, the two basic balancing yoga poses. And we're going to use a wall, here I have a door with me, and two blocks. So if you don't have blocks, you can still do it using your fingertips on the floor, or you can use some other thing like some books that you have at home. But I highly recommend you have blocks as yoga beginners. So now let's start on the ground and move the blocks to the side first. We're going to a table pose with your hands and your knees on the ground. Make your hands as wide as your shoulders and your knees as wide as your hips. We're going to warm up your spine through cat and cow pose. So inhale, arc your spine, and exhale, round your spine. Let's do for 5 more rounds on your own breath. And try to make the arc really big, so that you're stretching and warming up in the front and the back of your torso. Try to make the cat and cow really big. This covers the range of movement that you have in your spine. And after cat and cow, let's go back into table pose when your spine is neutral, so between cat and cow. Now you are not arcing your back and you tuck your belly up into a neutral spine, flat back here. Now let's bring your left knee, left shin bone into the middle line of your mat and raise your right leg up. Let's bend your right knee in kind of a 90-degree angle and flex your ankle in kind of 90-degree angle too. So now your foot is facing up to the sky. We're going to raise your knees up and up and down for about 20 rounds, but try to keep your spine straight. So don't be arc in your spine, and raise your leg only up but not out. So don't open it out to the side like this. Try to just move your knee up and down, and as you move your knee up, you're going to feel your right glute in your buttock working very much. Feel how it squeezes when you try to reach your foot up to the sky. Let's do this for about 20 rounds. And don't forget to breathe. Every time you exhale, squeeze your belly in. Every time you raise your legs up, try to tuck your belly so that you will not make it a back bend. Okay, and then a few more times. You feel tight in your buttock already? I can feel it here already. Whew. And then you can bring your knees toward your face. Point your toes now instead and round yourself, pushing the floor away from you, just like you did in the cat pose. And now let's bring your foot toward your hand position. Now tuck your back toes and raise yourself up. Make sure that your front foot is pointing forward. Bring your arms to over your head. Inhale deeply and then press through your feet to pick your back knee off the floor into high lunge pose. You can make your feet a bit wider so that the lunge becomes more challenging for your legs. Pulling your right hip back and opening your right thigh bones out to activate into the right glute muscles. Close your left hip in, keep your hips square here. Inhale and exhale, tightening your belly in. Let's inhale and exhale. Let's bring your back foot down to the ground and opening yourself to the side into Warrior 2. You can open your hips, your feet wider and sinking your hips low as you turning both of your thigh bones out and activate both glute muscles. Let's inhale here in Warrior 2 and exhale, tightening your belly in. Inhale for one more time and exhale, bring both hands down to the ground. Step your front foot back into plank pose. From plank, inhale, pushing the ground away from you, and exhale, squeezing your belly up. Inhale for one more time and exhale, knees down and then lay down to the ground. Inhale into Cobra Pose. You can do it high or low, but try to bring your shoulders down to have long neck and bring your elbows back to have big chest. When you exhale, tuck your toes, pushing up and into downward facing dog. Let's walk your heels on and off the floor and move your hips from side to side in down dog. And then let's inhale, plank pose. And exhale, bring your knees down to the ground and fix your pose in table position. Bring your right shin bone to the middle line of your mat And bring your left leg up, bending about 90 degrees at your knee and flexing about 90 degrees at your ankle. Now let's bring your knee up high and low and try to tuck your belly up so you don't make it a back bend. You really have to use your glute muscle here and not your back muscles to bring your leg up and down. Do this for a few times and try to hug your belly in all the time to keep your spine neutral and feel the strength coming from your big glute muscles on your left buttock. Keep breathing, and every time you exhale, remind yourself to squeeze your belly in. Feel like you just want to bring your heel up to the sky and down. Don't open your leg to the side at all. And by doing this, you can feel it in your left buttock already. Okay, and then a few more times. And then let's inhale, leg up, and exhale, bend your knee, bring your knee toward your face, point your toes and round yourself. Push the floor away from you and try to tuck your knee up toward your face. And then step your left foot forward toward your left hand position. Let's raise yourself up into kind of low lunge with your front knee right on the top of your front ankle. Make sure your front foot is pointing straight forward. Bring your arms over your head as you inhale. And then press through your feet when you exhale. Pick your knee off the floor to stand up. High lunge pose. You can make your legs a bit further away from each other and lowering your hips to make the pose even more challenging. Pull your left hip back and open, turning your left thigh bones out. Inhale, high lunge, and exhale, tightening your belly in. Inhale one more time. And exhale, bring your back foot down to the ground. Still keep opening your thigh bones out here. Warrior 2. You can make the pose more challenging for your legs, more strengthening by opening your feet wider. Keep turning your thigh bones out to activate both glute muscles and feel how you are standing more on the outer edge of your feet rather than the inner edge. Bring your arms out in Warrior 2. Inhale deeply and exhale, tighten your belly in. Inhale for one more time and exhale, bring both hands down to the ground. Step your front foot back in plank pose. Knees down, everything down to the ground as you exhale. Inhale, Cobra Pose. And exhale, Downward Facing Dog. Now let's walk your heels on and off the ground. And then let's walk your feet forward toward your hands position. And slowly stand up. Bring your arms over your head as you inhale. And exhale, bring your hands down. Now we're going to measure so that you're going to be one leg away from the wall. Let's bring your leg up to the wall and keep your foot about as high as your hip. And make sure that you are about one leg away from the wall here. Then you're going to turn back. Find your blocks with you. Bring them in front of you like this. Now let's inhale, bring your arms up and exhale, forward bend. Halfway up as you inhale, holding your hands onto the blocks. Now make sure that your heels are right underneath your hips and your blocks are right underneath your shoulders. Let's use your hand to check your spine and make sure that is kind of flat. So if you are straightening your knee and you feel like your spine is rounded, bend your knees and arc your spine like you did in the cow pose to make a flat back here. Now let's move the blocks to the left side. And stand on your left leg, bring your right leg up and put your right foot onto the wall here, pointing your toes down toward the ground into Warrior 3. So here, let's look at your standing leg and try to turn your knee out. Try to turn your thigh bone out, and by doing this, you are lifting through the arc of your foot and you are activating into the glute muscle on the standing leg. If you feel like you need more space, you can always move your front foot forward for more space here and move the blocks with you. And now let's stay here in Warrior 2. Every time you inhale, lengthening through your spine. And every time you exhale, tightening your belly up. Always close your right hip in purposely so that your hip will be squared and you will not be lifting your right hip off the floor. Take about 5 breaths here. And if you want to, you can even release your hands from the blocks and bring your hands in front of your heart in a prayer sign. You can always bend your front knee if it's too tight for you, but think of how you're turning your front thigh bone out all the time. And then let's slowly get out of this pose and bring your foot down to the ground. So you can shake your legs a little bit before we come back to putting your right leg to the wall, this time in half moon pose. So prepare your left leg, make sure that it's pointing forward with all your toes. Bring your right leg to the wall, but now you're turning yourself to the right side. And keep your heel as high as your hip. If you look back, you can clearly see how your toes are pointing to the side. You can still bend your front knee, but opening your front thigh bone out. So what happened here in half moon pose is that your foot wants to point in like this. It may be easier to keep balance, but it doesn't do you any good in training your glute. So try to keep your toes pointing forward and turn your thigh bones out, and you're going to feel it in your glute. Now you can bring your right hand on your hips, or you can bring your right hand up to the sky for half moon pose. Think of always turning your standing leg out, and you're going to feel it training your glute very much. Inhale, lengthening through your body, and exhale, tightening your belly in for 3 more breaths. Maybe you can slowly straighten your standing leg bit by bit, but it doesn't matter at all if you are bending at your standing knee. And then let's slowly get out of the pose, release the leg, stand up and give your leg some nice shaking. We're going to do exactly the same but with the other leg. So now stand in your position again. Inhale, bring your arms up and exhale, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up. And now hold the blocks with you and move them to the right side. Going to stand on your right leg, bring your left leg up. Look at your toes, make sure that they're pointing down to the ground, and put your left foot into the wall. If you feel like you're too far away or too close, you can always fix your standing leg position so that you can push your leg into the wall and your back leg can be straight at the same time. So now, let's kick your back leg into the wall and push your front foot down to the floor. You can bend your front knee slightly so that you can control the external rotation on your thighs more. And you feel it working in your right glute. Keep your blocks underneath your arms to support you in this pose. Every time you inhale, lengthening through your body, make sure your back is flat. If your back is not flat here, bend your knees and arch your spine to make a flat back here. And exhale, squeezing your belly up and in. Stay here for about 5 breaths. And if you feel like you want to try without your hands, let's bring your hands off the block and bring them in front of your heart in a prayer sign. Always kick your back foot into the wall and raising your head forward. And to get out of the pose, hold the blocks again. You can give your legs some nice shaking. And then bring your right foot back into the position again, with your toes all pointing forward. We're going to half moon pose. So turning your body to the left side, bring your left leg to the wall, left foot as high as your left hip, and turning yourself to the side. Now you can still bend your front knee. It will feel really tight for you. And turning your thigh bones out, pointing your knees out. You will not be able to turn so much, but this tiny, small action is what activates you in the glute. Your top hand can hold in your hips, or you can point it up to the sky in half moon pose. So here again, inhale, lengthening through your spine, and exhale, tightening your belly in. And then let's slowly get out of the pose. Step down to the ground. Give your legs some nice shaking because it's quite tiring for your legs, right? But if you do it just like what I say, you would train into your glute muscles very much. All right, now we're going to do a Vinyasa Flow that contains Warrior 2, Warrior 3 and Half Moon, and without the words. So we're going to the front of your mat and prepare your blocks here with you in the front of your mat. Now let's stand at the front of your mat with your feet parallel to each other and as wide as your hip bones. Inhale, chair pose, sit back and opening your knees out, and exhale, forward bend. Inhale into the halfway up, and now hold the blocks with you, bringing the blocks underneath your shoulders and check your spine first. Make sure that it's flat. So if you are rounded, bend your knees and arc your spine like in the cow pose. Move your blocks to the left side, stand on your left knee, stand on your left foot and bring your right foot up into warrior 3. Now let's check your spine all the time, and if you feel rounded, bend your standing knee. It doesn't matter at all if you bending your standing knee, but turn your thigh bone out and make sure that your back leg is pointing down toward the ground. So here you can still hold the block, or if you want to, let's bring your hands in front of your heart in prayer sign. Inhale, lengthen through your head, and exhale, tightening your belly in. Now let's bend your front knee and step a long step back into high lunge pose. Opening your front thigh bone out and pulling your front hip back. Bring your arms over your head into high lunge. Inhale and exhale, squeezing your belly in. One more breath here as you inhale and exhale, bring your hands down to the ground. Let's move the blocks away from your way and step your front foot back into plank pose. Inhale in plank and exhale, knees down and then everything down to the ground. When you inhale, Cobra Pose. And when you exhale, tuck your toes, go to downward facing dog. Let's walk your heels on and off the floor in down dog, moving your hips from side to side. And then let's inhale, raise your right leg up. Exhale, step your right foot to between your hands and bring your back foot down to the ground, opening to the side. Let's stand up into a warrior 2 position and opening your feet wider, sinking your hips lower for more strength in your hips. Turning your thigh bones out in both legs and feeling both of your glute muscle contracting. Bringing your arms out as you inhale and exhale, squeezing your belly in. Inhale for next time in warrior 2 and exhale, really leaning yourself back to the left side to stretch your right side in reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior 2 and exhale. Now we're going to do half moon, so step your back foot closer, standing more and more on your front leg. Use a block in front of your toes. You can put the block slightly to the right side so it's more stable, and start picking your back leg from the floor. Here you can always bend your standing knee, but make your flying leg straight and kicking back as if you were kicking into the world. Now looking at your front foot and make sure all the toes are still pointing forward and your standing knee want to point out and out. Of course you cannot point it out so much, but the small action, external rotation, is what make your glute work. Okay, and then now let's hold both hands on 2 blocks. Turn your hips down into a warrior 3. Bring your hands in front of your heart in warrior 3. And then let's bring both feet down to the ground, parallel to each other. Chair pose as you inhale. And then exhale, stand up straight, hands in front of your heart. Let's close your eyes here in the mountain pose. And stay here for a few breaths before we move on to the other side. Let's calm down with your breath. And when you are ready, let's stand at the front of your mat again with your feet parallel to each other and as wide as your hips. Chair pose as you inhale, opening your thigh bones out. Sit back so much that you can still see your toes. And exhale, forward bend, belly down to your thighs. Inhale, halfway up. And now let's hold the blocks and put them right underneath your shoulders. Spend a moment here to check your back and make sure that your back is flat, not rounded. You may bend your knee to make that happen. Now let's bring the blocks to the right side so that you can raise your left leg up, standing only on your right leg. Let's keep your hip turning down to face the ground so that your left toes will be pointing down to the ground. And from here, let's lean back so that your hip will be right on the top of your heel and you'll be able to bring your hands from the blocks in front of your heart. Let's inhale, lengthening through your spine, and exhale, squeezing your belly up. Then let's bend your front knee and slowly step back into high lunge pose. Bring your arms over your head as you inhale, opening your front thigh bone out and squeezing your belly in as you exhale. Inhale for one more time. And exhale, bring your hands down to the ground and step your front foot back in plank pose. From plank, inhale and exhale, knees down, lay down to the ground. Inhale, Cobra Pose. And exhale, downward facing dog. Let's walk your heels on and off the floor here in down dog. And then I'm going to bring your left leg up as you inhale. And exhale, bring your left foot to between your hands and bring your right foot down to the floor, opening to the side. Stand up into Warrior 2, opening your hips wider. Bring your arms out as you inhale. And exhale, tightening your belly in. Turning your thigh bones out so that you're squeezing your glute muscles. They're contracting very much and you can feel it. Next time you inhale in Warrior 2, let's exhale, leaning yourself to the right side in reverse warrior. Inhale to Warrior 2. And now we're going to move your back foot forward so you start stacking your hips on the top of your front foot. You can bring your hand to hold a block and move it slightly to the left side into half moon pose. Now let's look at your standing leg. If you feel like you are tight in your hips, you can bend your knee, but always turning your thigh bone out in the standing leg. Or your standing toes are pointing straight forward. You can bring your right hand up to the sky. Stay here in half moon. Inhale, lengthening through your spine. And exhale, squeezing your belly in. Always notice how your thigh bones are pointing out. And then let's bring your hand down to the other block and turning your hips down toward the ground into Warrior 3. Let's move back. You may still need to bend your front knee into Warrior 3 here. Inhale, lengthen through your spine and exhale, tightening your belly in. And then let's bring both feet down to the ground, parallel to each other. Sit back, squat down in a chair pose as you inhale. And exhale, stand up straight and hands in front of your heart. Let's close your eyes and stay here for a few breaths to calm down and cool down inside your body. And we are done with the class today. How do you feel doing balancing yoga poses? If you feel like you're falling, well, you should know that balance is a skill and you can train it. So keep doing yoga and you will improve in both strength and balance. I'm going to see you in the next class about flexibility. And don't forget to subscribe my channel and click on the bell so that you get notification every time I release a new class. See you then. Goodbye.